Hey, Erik,
Hello.
I love the name of your publication.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I'm here with Adam Davidson, director of 1 Mile, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. I guess we'll start with the obvious. What was the choice in splitting this up into two movies and releasing them on the same day?
Great question. That was all. It was always from the get-go, the idea was to make two movies, two separate movies that could stand alone. And the release dates, no one knew what that might be until the films were done and we started showing them to Paramount and they started having their conversations. That the decision to release them together came about. There was a lot of back and forth about should they be staggered a bit or what, but I think ultimately I think the audience has a choice. They can watch one and if they're feeling like, oh, we got to see what happens next, they go right to the next one. And if they want to see them as two separate movies, that's great too.
Was this conceived like at the screenplay stage, or was this conceived before that?
No, it was even before that. It was, I think, and this is before I came on. I think the conversations were something like, here's a budget and some discussions about, well, why don't we just make two movies then?
Yeah. And I've seen you've done a lot of TV, like a ton of it. What's some of the differences between some of the challenges and pros and cons of doing TV versus feature film?
Look, for me, it always comes down to telling a story. And I love telling stories and I love all genres. And I like, this summer I did a thriller that takes place in back east. And then I did a story that takes place during biblical times. It's always for me about human beings and telling something original and having characters that are relatable and that you care for them. I think one thing that's shifted over the years is, I talk about these films as reminding you of some of the films I watched back from the 70s. And I don't mean the ones that everybody always talks about, the Dog Day Afternoons and the Godfather and those great films, by the way. But I'm also talking about this subgenre that existed that people would go see and would really love. And that's these kind of thrillers that were made at the time, the Walking Talls, the Billy Jacks, the Death Wish, Dirty Harry, where you had this kind of central character who was up against evil forces, if you want to call them, but they weren't also like evil in the sense of something magical or supernatural. They were human beings too that just had a different twist and a different take. And I think that's one of the things we tried to do too with our adversary, who played by C. Thomas Howell, is give him a real reason for what he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, you got me all jazzed with the lesser great movies there. It's like Death Wish and Billy Jack. I'll watch those right now.
What's that, brother?
I was like, Death Wish and Billy Jack. I'll watch those right now.
Right?
But yeah, this did have kind of that kind of thriller kind of fun aspect to it, but like the fun but not silly. It was still serious business, but it's watching Ryan Felipe and his daughter run throughout it's good stuff.
Yeah, and also to make the action real and the relationship real and grounded. And the other thing we wanted to do was, a lot of times you have this kind of central character, hero character, and he can just like walk into a situation and take on 25 guys. It's that old funny thing, right? Where it's like one guy comes, boom, then perfect timing, the next guy comes. That's not the way it works, right? And so this guy has to think like, well, what am I going to do? I gotta bring down the numbers. I got to make them more even. And so I'm going to use my head. I'm going to use my skills and my strategies to even out the numbers and I think that to me is an interesting dynamic. I'm speaking really to the second movie here on that, because that really explores it even more, is that he doesn't just look, as a father, all you want to do is run in and rescue your daughter, but you can't do that. You got an army there. So he's got to be smart and take his time and plan it out right. I think that's interesting. I haven't seen that.
What were some of the challenges in shooting this? Because typically, like with Lord of the Rings, for example, they shoot all the movies at the same time, but they're all set in don't have a similar feel to it. Like the Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 there's the same story going forward, but they got different flavors to them.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can reuse the same location for both the movies.
Yeah. We shot everything on Vancouver Island. but we also decided, like, let's use the island for what it has, right? Just because the script might have, which was written at a time and place where no one knew where the show was going to be, where the movies are going to be made. Now all of a sudden we're in the environment and let's take advantage of it, right? This one scene of them escaping was written as they're in a structure and but we have a cliff and a waterfall. Like, how can we use that? So really embracing what was there. And it was tricky. We shot on day 4 of filming, we shot the last scene of the second film. So there were definitely challenges of that, like plotting away what might happen and what happened in between. But we always knew, like, at its core, it's like these two people right behind you, like what's happening between them. That's what's going to ground us.
Did you ever have the writer on set with you? Because like you said, if there's a waterfall right there, you're going to use it because it's just free production value, basically.
That's
but
right.
At the same time, you don't want to change the story, and the writer's like, don't do that because you do that. It seems unimportant, but if you do that, isn't going to make sense later on.
We had conversations before going in, but they weren't around once we started shooting. It was like, I talk about one thing I told the cast and crew. It's a quote I love, and I've said it before, and I share it with other people, that Miles Davis, the great jazz musician, what he used to say to his session men before they went in to record an album, the night before, he would call each of them up and he'd say to them, tomorrow, be prepared to be unprepared. And I just thought that's great, right? Because you can't make great jazz if you're totally over-prepared. You're not in the moment. We have to do the same thing. We know what we're going to shoot tomorrow. We know basically what the scenes are. But if there's something happening, it's suddenly raining, or suddenly that ground is more slippery than we imagine, we're going to embrace it and make use of it, just like these people would.
Do you have
there was survival happening on multiple levels for the characters and for us filming it.
Do you have any moments of like some good jazz that happened during shooting? It was like, this was not in the script. We did not think this was going to happen, but lo and behold, here we are, and it made it in the movie, and the movie's better for it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I should have better prepared for this because it felt like every day there was something like that. No, every time there was something, and then, again, that's what made it feel fresh and real.
Yeah, and you already mentioned. So I usually say this for the last question. I already got some recommendations right off the top, but I just want to get a film recommendation from you, a movie that's like personal to you, or a movie this is really good and no one talks about. And probably one more than the 5 you gave earlier, because those are great picks as well.
Oh, okay. Can I take a second? Are you going to edit this? Can I just get the exact title?
Yeah, we can do that.
Because it's not a normal title. Hold on a second, but maybe you've heard of it because you're an excellent film buff here.
Oh, you'd be surprised. Some people pull some movies that I ain't never heard of before, and that's the exciting part of this.
Okay, I'm gonna just look this up. Okay, so obviously we're doing this movie. We're in the Northwest. There's some parallels between being there and Ryan's character being former special ops. Like, you can't help but think of First Blood, right? Which is Ted Kotcheff directed. But have you ever seen a film that Ted Kotcheff did in Australia called Wake in Fright?
Oh, dude, that's a great pick.
Yes, isn't that an awesome movie? And on so many levels, it's just so good. So that was something I had in mind in terms of like how he uses color palette and how he builds tension. And again, that was a grounded thriller, right? There's nothing that's happening there that couldn't happen in everyday life, right? So underrated film, underrated filmmaker. But I'm glad you know that film. What would be another one? Something for this or just in general?
Just in general.
Just in general. Have you seen La Talente?
No, I've not even heard of that one. So
then I went back far. I was like, okay, let me go back. That's one of an early Jean Vigo film. Jean Vigo inspired all of the great French New Wave directors. He made only 3 films in his entire life. Have you ever seen The 400 Blows by Francois Truffaut?
Yeah.
Okay. That movie, go see Vigo's first film called Zero de Conduit, means zero for conduct. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is 400 Blows right here in the beginning. But he also made this beautiful beautiful movie called La Talente, L'Atlante, which is the name of a boat. I love that movie. Did you ever see Sunrise?
No, I don't believe I have.
FW, that's a perfect film. That is, when I saw that film, I was like, this is the first time I've seen something where I can say it's cinema as art, because it could not exist in any other format. You know how you sometimes see things or read things, like that could be a book, that could be a play, that could be a movie, that could be a TV show. This is only a movie and can only exist as a movie. It's a perfect film as well.
Oh, I'm excited to check that one out.
These are all oldies. I'm taking you way far back.
I dig oldies.
And
one
then,
of my favorite movies
and then
is Vampire.
sometime you can come talk to me and I'll tell you about that movie. Was directed by F.W. Murnau, who did Nosferatu and Taboo. When I was 7 years old, I found his death mask in our family's home in the attic.
Oh, wow.
But that's a whole story.
We should open with that.
Where are you right now?
Colorado Springs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh, nice. But Adam, thanks for joining me. Yeah, 1 Mile Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 come out on February 20th, and all the movies that you mentioned, a lot of them would make good double features for this. So if you're listening to this, go check out 1 Mile Chapter 1 and 2. And Adam, congratulations and thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Erik. Appreciate it. Appreciate you.